Once the term is complete and you've addressed any stragglers, you'll want to finish grading and turn in your final grades for the course. We assume you've been using the gradebook all along to provide comments to students on their work and to award grades for individual assignments. You'll know then that it's accessible from the Grades link on the left side of the screen from within your course shell. It's loading a lot of information, so it takes a moment for all the details to show up. Per UCLA extension policy, a teaching instructor can record final grades for the course one time and one time only. You cannot alter grades after doing so except by working with the UCLA Extension Records Office. Since we only get one shot, let's make sure we've got everything set up to get it right the first time. A checklist may help. Your checklist should include aligning your grading scheme choice with your syllabus, checking that your graded assignments all have non-zero point values, making sure you put scores on everything that can be scored, verifying that what you see is what will be sent, and adding special case information and finalizing. You've been recording grades all along by awarding points out of a possible total point value for each assignment. Now it's time to translate these to letter grades. To understand how we need to do that, let's first check the syllabus for our course. Your syllabus will contain some grade translation information. You may have to scroll around a little bit to find it. But this is what's been in front of your students for the entire term, so it's important that we follow that grading policy now. We can see that this course has a pure letter grade scheme, no pluses or minuses, A, B, C, D, and F. And we see that the gradebook would award a certain number of points for each of these ranges. This has probably already been checked for you when the course was first set up, but feel free to verify that your gradebook's total point scores actually comply with the syllabus definition if in fact your syllabus is set up that way. Within the gradebook, we see individual grades for each assignment. We see the sum total for every assignment group or week. And on the very far side, we'll see the total point score. And we can see what each student earned in terms of total points out of the total value for the course. We can also see Canvas's calculated letter grade. Let's check our grading scheme to make sure that that's being done appropriately. To check the grading scheme, click the Settings link. On Settings, we can see that the grading scheme is currently set to without plus minus. Let's take another look. We edit course details to see that the grading scheme is enabled. And if we click the View Grading Scheme link, we'll see that the grading scheme is currently set to the appropriate set of values to correspond with the syllabus. If we needed to change the grading scheme, we'd click the magnifying glass here, and we would see alternative grading schemes. We'd select the scheme that was appropriate, and we'd click Use this grading standard. Since ours is already set up appropriately, we won't do that right now. We'll just cancel out of this. So now we know that the syllabus and the grading scheme match and reflect what we need to do in the gradebook. The next thing to check is whether or not your graded assignments all have point values. Every once in a while, a little technical error is made and something important, like a discussion or a quiz, winds up with no value in the gradebook. That creates more trouble than one might guess, because if it has no point value, even if you do grade it, Canvas doesn't show it in the grades area at all. Worse still, it's not entirely impossible to accidentally remove the point value for an assignment after it's been graded. To keep out of the woods on this and make sure that everything appears in grades that should, please review your assignments list to be sure that everything which should contribute directly to the student's grade does indeed have a non-zero point score. So we can see here that these discussions and the project plan, etc., all have some point score associated with them, whereas narrated presentations and other things the student is meant to consume do not. That's completely appropriate. We'd simply look for any case where a discussion or an assignment to be turned in doesn't have an appropriate number of points. Week 8 individual in-progress project plan seems to have out of 0. Let's go ahead and fix that. We know that that was supposed to be worth 5 points. Alright, now it looks like it's all sorted. The next question is, have we put an explicit score on everything? If we revisit our gradebook, and after doing something like what we just did, we should refresh the screen. The entire process really hates to see dashes in the gradebook. If an assignment still has a dash on it at the end of the course, please put a grade on it, even if that grade needs to be 0. One important reason for this is that Canvas, when calculating the final grades it sends to UCLA Extension, always considers an ungraded thing to have a value of 0. But that will not show up on your screen unless you select the What If feature, Treat Ungraded as Zeros. Selecting that will show you what might happen if you gave every as yet ungraded assignment a 0, but it does not save anything. If you select it and the final grades change at all, it means you haven't graded something. Let's check our gradebook for dashes. So far it looks pretty clean except for that one thing that had no points on it. I'll go ahead and fix that now. Obviously, you would want to take more time and consult the work the student actually turned in. Our next topic, now that we can see final grades and that they should be right, is called the grade adjustment. We can see on the right-hand side of the very rightmost column in the Canvas gradebook the grade that Canvas has calculated for each student based on the grading scheme that we've assigned. It may be that for a given student, this grade is slightly not reflective of what we think they should have based on the work they really did. One could go back through the gradebook and try to identify any assignment that may have been graded a little bit below what we expect, but the simpler way to handle this is to deal with a grade adjustment. So, for example, we can see that Jason here has a 79.2% and has a C. But we know Jason, we think his grade really should be a B. To deal with that, we'll implement what's called a grade adjustment. Many of the existing course shells already have a grade adjustment assignment in them. If you needed to create one, here's how you go about that. Clicking the assignments link on the very left side of your course will give you a list of all the assignments in the course, and of course they're grouped week by week. To implement a grade adjustment, what we do is create an additional assignment at the very end of the week. That's already been done here. So we would click the plus sign, and we would type grade adjustment here. We don't need to set a due date, but we do need to give the assignment 1 point. If you don't give the assignment any points, it will not show up in your grade books. You won't have an opportunity to grade it from there. Since we've already got one, I'll cancel that. And you can see that the grade adjustment is the very last assignment in the course. Once that's been created, we can go back to our grade book and populate it. To be completely fair, you'd want to give every student in the course the value of the grade adjustment. While a course has a great number of points like this one, it really won't make a whole lot of difference. There's really no harm in getting that step right. This ensures that the grade adjustment will not weigh against anyone, even if you're not using it. Now, we'd like to give Jason that B. How can we go about that? Well, we can see right now that he's at 79.3% and he's earned a C according to Canvas. We scroll back over to our grade adjustment and we might push that up above its normal ceiling, let's say to about 5. This is a bit of futz. Then we can scroll back over and see what Canvas is calling his grade now. Now it says he's at a B. That's pretty close to where we want him to be, so we'll call that good. There's no need to save anything. Canvas has already done that for you. Grade adjustments can't be used to materially reduce a student's calculated grade. If you feel you need to do that, you will need to review the work they turned in and choose an appropriate place to reduce the grade. When you're happy with the letter grades that you see in the rightmost column of the gradebook, double check for any missing grades by selecting that feature we mentioned before, the treat ungraded as zeros. When I choose treat ungraded as zeros, if any of these values change, then I know I've got something left ungraded. Again, treat ungraded as zeros does not save anything in the Canvas database, but it will give you a sort of a what if to tell you if in fact you have forgotten to grade anything.
The next step is to publish grades. First, select Publish Grades to SIS from our little gear thingy here, and that will take you to the grade publishing section of settings in the course. Next, push the Publish Grades to SIS button and click the OK button.